When the kids
are counting sheep.
When the kids go to sleep.
Oh, come here, baby. The kids are sleeping.
Memories. When the kids go to sleep.
Yeah, I love when the kids
Hi,
go to
welcome
sleep.
back.
I love it.
I love it.
Yeah, I just want a little
Shay.
snuggle time.
Shay.
Just a little snuggle time
Get your
on Mama
face
Todd's
Out of
microphone.
my mic. This is mine.
Did Timothy De La Ghetto leave?
Yes.
Timothy, dang it. Timothy
said
De La
hi.
Ghetto was here and he poked his head in the window. He scared me. That silly
Scary.
little Timothy. Hey, everybody. Welcome to When the Kids Go to Sleep. It's the bi-weekly podcast that my name's Shay and her name is Colette and Titus, and we do it
That's
together. And then we
Exactly.
also
Oh.
have this podcast. What?
That was funny.
Yeah, I got you.
Oh.
So what are we talking about today? Okay, here's
Well,
a schedule
actually-
changer
we're
we need to talk
doing-
about.
Okay.
Tuesdays.
Schedule change?
Yeah. So when Fridays are going to be the guest shows? Yeah. Right, Allie?
Fridays guest shows, then Tuesdays
is
like
gonna be,
we're going to answer
just
Twitter questions or talk
questions,
about
yeah.
whatever we
I
feel
can't
like
see
talking
you.
about.
These lights are reflecting.
it's
yeah.
glaring,
I'm like,
so-
I can't see you through the glass there. Come up
Hello.
closer. All right. Yeah. So Tuesdays are like today are going to be like we answer Twitter questions and tell you stories that we want to talk about and blah, blah, blah. And then Fridays we're going to have guests. So, you know, you don't just hear us saying the same thing over and over
Because that
and
can
over
get very
again.
boring.
By the way, thank you for watching. If you are a regular podcast watcher and you ask for it on Twitter.
and listen to it.
Because, yeah, we didn't do it last week because we went to Disneyland instead.
Well, the reason is we promised our kids we were going to go to Disneyland, and we didn't because the rats were in our house. So we had to get rid of rats first. And so that was our first opportunity because they didn't have school. So we took them.
Which brings us to the story that you've all wanted us to talk about.
Yes, that was one of the overwhelming Twitter questions.
Tell
that
us about the
has
time
come
you
through.
almost lost Princesstard.
Ugh. The reason we have not told it is because that's not really a moment in time that I want to relive.
So yeah, that we were gonna talk about it, but Mommy Tard's like, no, I don't want to talk about it. But like with all things, with time fades the embarrassment of losing your child.
Or just the horror, the absolute terror of losing
Well,
your
let's
child.
let's be honest. Like at first, you were just embarrassed because we lost our kid, and you don't want to tell anybody.
I was not. Well, I was a little embarrassed,
That's true.
especially to the world. Hi, I'm going to announce to all
We
of you.
lost our
we
child.
lost our child.
And we think that she's drinking too. We don't know.
Lots and lots of coconut water.
So okay, so it happened. I mean, it's not a big deal. I don't. That's at the time when you're like, oh, let's not talk about it. I'm like, who cares?
Well, at the time, I was
Yeah,
very terrified. And
she was terrified.
horrified.
Anyways,
horrified and terrified.
okay, so let's just tell it real quick.
So we were at Disneyland, and we were getting off of a ride, and it was all of us. We had all the family with us.
No, see, this is where the details are lost on you, my love. First of all, I think we should specify that we're on the SpongeBob submarine ride.
It wasn't SpongeBob, babe.
Yes, it
was.
was.
Nemo. It was Nemo.
What's the difference?
Hi,
But you're
children
in
of the world.
but
Can you
were
tell
in
Shay what the difference between Nemo and SpongeBob
I'm just kidding.
is?
But you know that was in the submarine, though. They're
Yeah.
both. But they're both on that ride. There's SpongeBob on that.
No, there's
on
not.
the submarine?
No, it's Nemo. It's the Nemo ride.
Are you sure?
They don't intertwine SpongeBob and Nemo. They
They're
don't
both
go
in the
together at all.
ocean.
But they don't go together. And SpongeBob is Nickelodeon. Nemo is Disney. Trust me, I have
And
4
other
children.
details, it was you and Carly. I didn't go on that ride.
No,
you
it was me and Kaylee and Carly. It was all the girls. I'm telling
You
the
said
story.
all the family. You had someone in your face.
No, all the family was at Disneyland.
Oh, I thought you meant like
so
we
it
were,
was
okay.
all of us there together, and we took the kids. Are you trying to make sure that people know it wasn't your fault?
Yes.
Is Shay trying to put
I
the
was not-
blame on me?
She took her. I had the other kids.
Yes,
telling your story.
we had, the girls and I had all of the children. Do you want to fight? Because I will fight you. I got my fists up and my biceps
Okay,
are tough.
long story short, they were getting off the ride and they were all like, oh yeah, it was so fun. And because
And Princesstard has this habit of running ahead. And she was the one that all day was the one like, hold on to the stroller, like we're trying to keep track of her. And so, of course, we get off the ride and she goes running ahead with, I think it was Carly and Braley that had walked ahead. And so I thought that she was still with them and she wasn't. Like she had ran ahead and she didn't see them. And so she thought that she saw
Yeah.
them.
She
saw the back
another
of two
group
blonde
of people. Yeah.
and she followed those people, and it wasn't us. And so naturally, we get back to the strollers, and we're regrouping, and I'm like, "Oh,
Where's
isn't
Princesstard?
Princesstard with you?" And they're like, "No, she's not with me." And then immediately, I'm like,
It's fan out.
"Find her now!"
Yeah. So we were looking. So all of us, I stayed there. I said, I'll stay here. You guys go look. So they're looking.
And keep in mind, it was a Saturday.
Yeah, it was
It
busy.
was getting dark. It was right that
Yeah,
time
it
of day where it
was
was
getting
getting dark.
Yeah.
And it was really busy. And of course, naturally, I'm starting to like, okay, calm down. So I
She's gonna be
go
right around
immediately
here, right around here.
to a Disneyland employee.
Well, before that, I mean, we looked around, because I would say for about 2 or 3 minutes, we just looked around, around.
It was pretty
Really?
fast. Yeah, because
No.
I knew like I'm not gonna find her.
I guess
looking.
it escalated pretty quick, but it felt like to me that we looked around, because you know how it happens, like when you lose your kid and it's like, okay, they just got to be right
At
around here, right
first,
around
you're
here. It's
like,
like first
okay, they're
5
just right
seconds,
here.
you're like, okay,
But then the
then
longer
10
it
seconds
gets,
go by, and then all of a sudden a minute's gone by, and you're like, where are they? And then it's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, as soon as like five minutes feels like an eternity all of a sudden. 'Cause it's like, where would they be? They're gone. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so how long? I would say from the time that we lost her till the time that we got her back was probably 30 minutes.
I would say less than that, but it felt like
20
longer.
minutes? Because we had to walk across the entire park to go get
Well,
her.
this is what happened is I went to a Disneyland employee that was right next to me, and I said, I've lost my daughter. Now, here's the ironic thing is that morning I let her, get herself dressed, and she was wearing bright red tights, like a tan miniskirt and white shoes. And I was like, that doesn't really match, but oh well, you can go ahead and wear it. And Carly or Kayla, I can't remember which one, said, that's all right. At least if she gets lost, you'll know you'll be able to find her because she's wearing bright red tights. And, it was kind of a joke. But then as I was explaining to the worker, she's wearing bright red tights, and I started to get really emotional, like, oh my gosh, we just talked about this. And, I was starting to get emotional, but...
Yeah.
So I explained to her what she looked like. They made the call and they said, don't worry. The best thing for you to do is stand right here and just
Buy
be
some
here.
more stuff. Look,
And
there's
I'm
some
like-
churros right there. I think
Not
they
what
have
they
a
said.
chicken leg right here you can purchase. Look, some ears.
And they assured me that no child has ever been lost for longer than 15 minutes there. I don't know if that's true, but that's what they told me. Anyways,
And
and
if
so
they
I'm
are-
standing there waiting. And what?
Nothing. I was going to say something mean. Go ahead.
You're going to be funny and I'm
Yeah.
all...
I know. Go ahead.
Anyway, so I'm waiting there. And of course, if your child's lost and you're standing there, I'm like, my eyes are going like this.
Yeah,
Oh, darting across
everywhere.
the crowd. Like, where is she? Where is she? I can't just sit here. I can't sit here. Why am I sitting here? Anyways, so I get a phone call and they say, hello, this is Disneyland custodial and I have your daughter. And they go, what's your name again? And she goes, Princesstard. Of course, she said her name, and I was like, it's her. They have her. And for some reason, it was very lucky that she remembered our phone number.
She called. She remembered her mom's cell phone number.
Mm-hmm.
So she told the worker the number and called. And I think the guy just used his cell phone
Yeah.
to call. Yeah.
And so he told us where she was. The security guy came and he was trying to help us find where. And we were like, we were like a caravanning through the crowd, like
There
just
was
pushing people out
we
of the
had
way.
like one of the head security guys who had like, he looked very official. He had like on like a cop thing and like the whole belt. And we were walking like fast. And it was like all of us walking to go to the other side of the park. Because here's what happened. Princesstard, after she, thought that, those other girls were you guys, she followed them and realized that it wasn't, started looking around and couldn't find us. So in her mind, she thought, well, I'm going to walk to the front of the park and I'll wait outside the gate so that
or
when
wait
they
by
leave,
the gate because they'll have to
she
leave.
goes, yeah, they'll leave eventually and I'll see him. So that was her thought process. She was like, well, that's what I do. So that's where she was headed. She walked all the way to the other end of the park and she was like right by the entrance and she was like looking around and some people had noticed her just like walking around like, what is that little girl doing walking
And
around?
so they were asking her like,
Said,
are you lost? Can I help you? But we've always taught her not to talk to strangers. So she's like, doesn't know what to do, if she should talk to him and tell him she's lost or if she should, and so...
Anyways, so then they called. Yeah, they gave her. I think those people took her to a Disneyland employee, and then that's when he called. So then we all walked there, and then of course, like you when you're all pissed.
I was just like, "Ma." And it was
was,
so
yeah.
hard to know. Like, okay, so we've taught her the phone number, so I was really glad she remembered our phone number. But then, I was always taught if you get lost, you stay in the same place. And I think that we've gone over that before, but in that moment, I'm sure it was hard to remember what to do.
Did we tell him to? I mean, that's what we said last time or yesterday, a couple
It's like
days
you stay
ago.
in one place. If you realize you're lost, you just stay in one place.
That's what I always learned. Like in the forest, you stay where you're at, and then they'll find you because then your parents are gonna be close by. Anyways, all right. So we found Princesstard, and she was fine, and she felt really bad. Braylee was all crying. I shouldn't have left her. And it's scary. All those things that flash through your head, like the longer and longer you go, and it's like, oh, dude, it's like the worst. You think about like Elizabeth Smart people.
Oh my gosh.
Like they're kids who really do get lost.
Well, she was stolen out of her house, but there
it's
are
like
kids that
like
just
the time
get lost.
that goes by in your head where it's like, holy crap, it's been 30 minutes and we don't have her back. Like, can you imagine like it's been 5 days and like you still have that anxiousness, but you're counting time like every second. You know what I mean? Like, anyways, it was a horrible experience. Don't lose your children, and that's why we've duct taped them to our sides. They're actually right on our legs right now.
She definitely was like the rest of the time, like, I'm not letting go of my mom's stroller.
All right, so we had some other questions.
Yeah,
What's some other questions?
There were actually a lot of
my
questions.
mom just sent a picture to both of us that
what is that?
She made a picture. She printed off a picture of one of our last vlogs of when we were down on the beach. Oh, look at that. It's of Princesstard. Tim, zoom in on that. Can you see this? So my mom just sent this picture to me where she has printed off an image from our last vlog when we were down at the sunset when Princesstard was doing his Karate Kid motions on the rocks. She must really like it. Oh. Great text message, Mom. She goes, look at this cool picture that I made from your Karate Kid video. She's our biggest fan. She watches every single one of our videos. All right, so we're going to do some questions from Facebook. Or what's this?
From Twitter, actually. Then this one's, Kayla, do you agree when Shay said it's important to put you first and the kids second and that it's okay that they know that? Is that your key? Actually, okay, so this comes from the mom's view where Shay and Casey were on it, is where we talked about this. And
if you haven't seen that, go check it out. Me and Casey were on the mom's view, and we talked about us.
Talked about relationships and how we kind of feel is that we come first in our relationship. Like Shay comes first before the kids. And I know a lot of people don't agree with that because, I mean, obviously your kids you love and they're important. But, I mean, I married him because I'm in love with him. And then we decided to have children. So overall, we feel like each other comes first before the kids.
So you're saying you do agree with that
So
statement.
somebody was asking.
So I said,
do I agree with that?
That's the reason that she was asking that, because I said in the mom's view that my wife is first. She's the first relationship I had, and that we believe that we are, we have this eternal relationship together forever, and that the kids are secondary, and that they know that when it comes to me, who is my, who I choose first, it's my wife and my relationship with her, and that, we still love them. It's not like screw you kids, but
I feel like, and it's not first. It's not like, oh, we're taking care of each other, but you guys aren't important. It's not like that at all. Yeah. I think it just means, I mean, they don't have to worry that we're going to split up or, because we're putting each other first. If we realize that we're losing some of this, then we're going to get a babysitter and go on a vacation or something.
Yeah, they're not going to come between us.
Right. And we're always on the same page.
Yeah, that's like, I because I know some parents, it's like the kids will ask mom, but not dad,
Mm-hmm. And that does happen sometimes. But then we have to get back on the same page.
I'm like, I don't know what your mom say. Yeah.
I said this and you said that,
Right. Because sometimes, we say opposite things. Mm-hmm. Anyways, we just want our children to know that we love each other more than we love them. So that's why she was asking about that. So, yes, you do agree with that?
I do agree.
Because this would be really awkward if you're like, actually, if I had to save my kids or Shay, you'd probably save your kids. It's okay. You birthed them. They were inside of you.
What would you do?
If I just choose
in a fire,
I do. That's why.
Would you say?
That's why I've been lifting a lot of weights lately, so I could carry all of you.
Everyone.
I don't have to make that choice.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think in that moment, it's not like about who you love more. It's about.
Oh yeah, well,
it's like about that. Who can I grab? You just grab everyone and go.
It's like,
I don't know.
Reminds me of
I've never been in a fire before.
Me neither.
Let's keep it that way.
All right.
Next
question. What was the story about Princesstard getting lost? We talked about that. Yeah, look at everybody wants to know about why we lost Princesstard.
Of those questions.
We should. Maybe we want Princesstard to forget about that. Let's see. I love you guys. You're amazing. Katie Lett, what if your kids came out to you as gay?
Oh, okay. Well,
What would you do?
I would.
All of them?
All of them?
All four of
All
them?
of
They're all gay? With each other?
No. Oh my goodness. I would just talk to them and make sure that they really, because I think sometimes kids get confused. Sometimes I've talked to people that feel like they were born with that, but I also think that some people just are experimenting.
Here's a
So
question.
I would just talk to them.
Do you think that we would be able as parents, because I feel like we are very close to our children. Like we spend a lot of time with our kids. And because our job, the way that our job is that we are with our children, I would say more than a majority of parents.
Right.
So I say.
And we love it. That's such a blessing.
Yeah, you kidding me? Like that's our job is to be with our kids, a majority of the time. So I feel like we are very close to them. Do you feel like we would know if one of them was? Like, do you think we'd be able to sense it?
I think you can probably see signs. Yeah.
Because here's something that's personal to me is my uncle was gay. And my dad, my dad's brother was gay. And my dad says that he remembers even early on that my uncle would play with dolls and stuff like that. So, I rocked hard as Mr. Truck. He has, yesterday we were in the gym today and he had the truck. He's like, brr, brr, brr. So I think, if that happened, it happened. I don't think that would change because we have such a strong relationship with our kids. It's like, we know them so well. So if they came out and said, oh, by the way, I'm gay, it's like, I feel like I'd be like, yeah, I already know. I feel like I know my kids so well that they're not going to surprise me with something like that.
Exactly.
It's like it's not like, oh, you're what? Get out of the house. You're fired from our lives.
You're fired.
That's what most parents do.
No, I mean, we would just love them because I feel like they're our children.
I would say to answer that question, like if they were gay, that's not going to change anything, but I feel like it's not going to be like this great reveal. I feel like with our kids, and maybe it could be a surprise. Maybe some parents said that also, and they were surprised when their kids came out. But I feel like we're so close to them that we know them so well that it's not something that would just surprise us.
I think we would see signs.
Yeah, like we already know what issues our children have before I think they even do. Like we see them interacting with each other. We know which ones needs to work on, maybe not being so selfish or all that kind of stuff as parents, that goes along with a lesson that I was talking about in church about, how do you have a good garden? There's this guy who was giving a story about his neighbor had a really nice garden and he was out trying to get his garden nice. And he asked his neighbor, how do you keep such a nice garden? And she said, I am near it. I'm always in my garden, even if it's inconvenient. That way I can see little things like if the soil needs changing or if, there's weeds, something that's easy to fix right now, but would be a giant pain in the butt to fix later if you leave it, unchecked. So she said the secret to having a really good garden is just being there. And I took that to mean like, that's how we can be really good parents is just being in our kids' lives, being there to pull those little weeds out or those little things that, maybe they have problems with now that, we're raising these beautiful cucumbers, baby. And these cucumbers, we want to take them and we want to get the blue ribbon. And so we got to make sure that when we get to the harvest.
Yeah.
So anyways, to answer your question, we hate gay people. Let's move on.
No, we don't. You can't say that. It's not funny.
We don't hate gay people.
He's trying to be funny.
No,
yeah. I mean, bottom line, we would love them either way. You know what I mean? It's not like that's going to change how we feel about them. But it's also a part of, if they were to come to me and be like, Mom, I think I'm in love with this boy. I want to marry him. Like, I would help them decide and listen to them and let them realize how they really feel, Yeah. It's all about discovering life.
Listening.
And figuring yourself out.
Isn't it really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listening. And that's so true because I remember so many times growing up where my parents would just sit and listen to me. And as I'm talking to them, telling them how I feel, I realize how I really feel.
Just because you can say it out loud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially talking to my parents because I know what they expect of me and how much they love me. So if I can open up to them and tell them, what I'm going through, then I start to, I don't know. I think you can discover yourself by talking about how you feel.
Totally. And I think that's some people don't do that, like have that inner discussion, like being able like to say, okay, why do I feel like this, or what's going on for that reason. But like when you're fighting with your parents, or you're trying to explain something to your parents, you're like trying to explain your side, and you're like yelling to get it all out. And if they're quiet enough to listen to you, you can get all those feelings out. It's like, okay, maybe I don't really feel like that, or whatever. I don't know.
Oh, and I remember getting in fights with my dad, like, I love him, and he would just be like,
I love him.
And he would be talking to me, and as I'm listening to him, I'm like, he's totally right. But I would be too prideful to say, you know what, you're right, Dad.
You're right, Dad. Isn't that funny? Yeah, that you guys were in this giant fight, and you were still defending the point that you didn't really believe in anymore.
Right.
Do you ever do that?
Yeah.
Do you ever find yourself with the pride of a prideful priderson? And you just can't let it go? That hardness in your heart is just like, no. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't admit that I'm wrong. No, it's so hard. I won't do it. I know I'm wrong. Just don't do it.
That's funny.
Right? That's what it's like, huh?
That's exactly what it's like.
I'm a rat all of a sudden. Somebody tagged me on Facebook of Mickey Mouse, like from behind being like in a mouse trap.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Because of our recent rat troubles.
Yeah.
All right, let's take another question from the Twitsters. Should we refresh? Yeah. Oh, we should refresh. Oh my, there's much questions here. Shay Carl, listen to I'm walking to work. Oh, this person listens to our podcast as they're walking to work.
Thank you.
Can you mention my name, Drew Schlossler? Hi, Drew Schlossler. Kaylet, how do you divide your time equally between your kids so none of them feel left out? That's a good question.
That is a good question.
How do you do that, babe?
I don't know.
I think it's all about taking those moments, like, because you see the kids randomly, just throughout the day where, there are those.
Some are in school, some are at home still.
Yeah, because, where you're taking Princesstard to karate or you're taking the girls to gymnastics, it just like, you just got to take those moments because you see all four of them sometime throughout the day. Like, you just got to take those moments. And I love to just like wrestle with them, because it's just like, it's a good way to like grab them and just be like, hey, I love you still. I'm in your life. Look at me. Be a good kid. Look at me.
That's the key. Just get right in their face all the time.
Right? That's what love is all about. So I think it's just, finding those moments to talk and to chat.
And that can be a challenge. I mean, because I've, with my oldest, you obviously had alone time with him for a long time. And then you have your second. And I feel like sometimes Princesstard doesn't get as much because she wasn't home. Like, she never had a time where she was home just with me because I was babysitting before she went to school, I was babysitting another kid. And so I do feel like sometimes you have to make extra time, but a lot of times it's like we're all together as a family and we're all interacting. And I feel like they all know that they're loved. It might not be like, okay, you have 20 minutes, now you have 20 minutes. But I feel like they all know they're loved.
Yeah, I think we feel that way when we're all hanging out together, And one thing that we have done in the past and that we should do more is like daddy-daughter dates or like going out like guys' night out or like girls' night out, where they feel like it's their alone time with mom and dad, in case they want to talk about stuff. And just that's, like when we're riding in the car to karate, just
like
being able to turn the music off and just talk, like, what's up, bro? What'd you do today? How was school? And it's just, it doesn't have to be hard. It just can be like, like you would ask a friend, like, what's up, dude? What are you doing? Tell me about your life. Let's communicate. Let's talk about our feelings. What's going on in your head right now? Let me take your temperature, your spiritual temperature, your emotional temperature. How you feeling, bro? Huh? How you feeling in there? Huh, Suntard?
Oh, Shay.
That's what I do.
Yeah. And yeah. That's all
yep,
and
also after the yep, there's a after the yep. All right, let's go to some more questions. This one says, why do your kids have nicknames? Well, we just started doing that. Back, when we started the videos, we started doing, I don't know why. It wasn't even necessarily totally planned out.
I think I was paranoid about putting their real names on the internet.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's...
Because I think back then we didn't know the internet as well, and we were like, oh, what if they suck the souls out of their faces when they see on the screen? If they know their names, they can suck the souls out of their eyeballs. It's this internet, this new age wave of the WWW.
Kind of crazy.
It's kind of crazy. So we just, I don't know. I think the first one was just fun, like Baby Tard, like, Shay Tards. I don't know. It all, if I could go back in time, I would have changed.
This was never planned out. It was just
Yeah.
our life just sort of rolled like
just
this.
happened.
It just
just
happened.
happened like this. That we didn't
Yeah.
plan this to be. So why is their names? Because we don't want you to say bad things about our kids. And if you know their names, then it's more personal, I think. So it's like when you say bad things about their names personally, it makes me want to punch you harder. So to reduce the amount of punching I want to do, we haven't put their names in the videos.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
To reduce punching. That's why.
A lot of punching can be reduced.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just
think
like
it's
a
just
way to
to-
protect them.
To protect them.
And that's going to
And-
be something that they can decide later on. I feel like that's kind of a way to give them their anonymity in a way where if they decide, well, I don't want to continue on the internet, I don't want to be this person, then, Suntard can have just been Suntard, or whatever. And
Right.
it's like when a kid grows up and says, okay, Dad, I don't want to be a farmer. I know that you're a farmer, or your dad, I don't want to be a dentist. Whatever your dad does. A lot of people ask that. I saw that on one of the comments. Would you feel having been raised in a house like our kids are being raised, like being filmed every day? Would that be something that you would like, or would that be something, how does that feel? So I feel like by giving them those nicknames, once they get old enough and they're like, okay, I don't want to do this.
I mean, they'll obviously still
But I
be
feel like
known
they'll wanna
as
do it. I mean, yeah, they'll be
whoever
those
they are,
faces.
because it's not like they're an actor or an actress. They are who they are on camera.
Yeah, that's true.
But, and the answer to that other question is we don't know. Like, how would we know?
We're just figuring it out as we go.
But I do think the amazing thing is, because we both keep journals, and it's amazing to go back and read those journals, but to have a visual journal of them growing up would
I think it'd be
amazing.
awesome. Yeah.
Because I get little glimpses of like baby pictures that I have of me, or a random video that I see of myself, and it's fun
Right.
to see, like, this was me when I was this age. Like, I barely remember that, but I can see it. But for them, they get to see themselves.
A ton of it, yeah.
That's grow up.
That's what I always imagine. Like, I always think, how do I feel when I see old pictures of me and my brothers hanging out together? I'm like, it's cool, right? Like, you look through, oh man, look at those old pictures of your life. So I think, like, for our kids growing up, when they're 40, like, imagine, looking back when they were 7 years old, living on Venice Beach, or, running down the ocean, and like, I feel like it'd be these are really cool memories that they'll have, and I feel like it's a really positive experience in general. That's why we've continued doing the daily vlogs, because if it ever got to the point where I feel like it was, it harmed our family in any way, I definitely would have stopped it.
Right.
But I feel like there's a lot of positivity that flows, a lot of positive emotions, a lot of positive vibes. Feeling a lot of positive vibes, Mom. Tired. Those vibes are so positive. Anyways,
And our kids, they like it.
they love it. Yeah, I
They
mean,
like
it's
it.
not like they're like, we gotta film again.
Oh,
It's
man.
like we have to tell them to shut up every.
It's like,
it's
okay,
like,
calm
okay,
down.
stop it.
They definitely like it. So
So yeah, those are good questions. I like
Choose
those
one.
questions. What'd you see there? That's a good question. Aaron Wong 51 asks, Katie let Shay Carl, what did you and Shay want to be when you grow up? Right? Wanted to be when
yes.
growing
What
up.
did you want to be when you grow up?
That's a good
when you were a
question because
kid?
I never had anything. I never.
Me either.
No, we did it. We had no ambition together. Yay, we made it.
Well, really, all I wanted to do was be a mom,
That's
and I
amazing.
am.
You did it.
Yeah.
All I wanted to do was make you a mom, and I did it.
That is awful. Shay Carl, you are sitting in timeout.
I like it in timeout.
I like it. You're crazy.
Anyways, back to our lives and dreams. I didn't know when I hated, they always gave us those tests in school, like, you're going to be a salesman because you like people. Like I always got like the salesman or entrepreneur, like start my own business, because
Really?
they would ask you all those
I didn't see
questions
that.
and they would like judge like what you would be good at based on your answer to like 800 questions, like
Right.
if you were in this scenario, what would you most likely say in this situation if you were wearing cargo khaki pants? Blah, 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 blah. What is some of your major weaknesses? I'm fat, I'm overweight, I have a low credit score, my wiener is small.
That is not appropriate.
So, anyway, what was I talking about?
Now you're lost for words.
I should have said that. I just hate when they ask you that on interviews.
They ask you that?
No.
Is that really a question? Okay, kids, if that's on an interview, you do not have to answer it, and you should call the police right away.
The police. Raphael. Listen to what I have to deal with. What was I talking
What
about?
I
I'm
have
totally
you
lost.
have to deal with. We were talking about careers, by the way.
All right. Those tests, those stupid tests. I hate it when they ask, "What are your weaknesses?" Because the way you answer is always like, "Oh, I'm just too honest," I'm such a
awesome all the
perfectionist. I
time.
needed to not be such a perfectionist. Like I hate because those are always the answers that you give to try to make yourself look good.
Right.
I would for once just like to let it all come out. Like what are some bad things about yourself? And you just answer in a way that's I steal a lot. I like to lie. I've murdered three.
I've murdered
all
3
these
people?
things that come out.
Oh my
Anyways,
goodness.
moving on to the next question. It was funny in my
I
mind.
think we're running out of time.
Are we running out of time?
Yes.
Want to wrap it up? I thought we were having such a
We
stimulating
are.
conversation here.
And what it comes down to is we are living our dream.
We are that is very true. We are basically what we want to be when we grew up.
And if you have that in mind, if you know oh my gosh, I really want to be a nurse or I want to do this, then do it. You can.
Yeah, that's the great
That's so
thing.
exciting.
If there is something that you do want to be, you can work towards. That's I never had that. I wish I could do this, but now that we're doing what we're doing, this is definitely this is the dream come true of a dream I never knew I even had. But if you want to do something, if you have that dream, then you can do it. You can achieve it. It's just about time and work. Literally, that's what I've learned.
Time and pressure.
It takes time. You got to continue. It takes longer than 5 years to be successful. It might even take longer than 10 years to be successful at working at one thing. So don't give up. All right, are we wrapped? We wrapped on this podcast, Olo.
Thank you for answering questions.
WTKGTS from Los Angeles, California at Maker Studios. This is Shay and Colette. Signing off.
And we will continue to be appropriate in
When
all
the
these
kids go to
podcasts.
sleep. Pardon my language.